Hello, my friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family. So, guys, I had mentioned in a previous video talking about Hurricane Sally and comparing it to Hurricane Florence and saying that, it's not always the wind, it's the water. And actually, when we look at the number of fatalities due to the elements, due to these earth changes, water is the most deadliest by far. And Hurricane Florence did become a major hurricane, but when it got to make landfall, it was only as a Category 1. But what happened was it just crawled like a turtle. It just stayed put pretty much in the same area for a very long period of time, perplexingly moving at like 1 to 2 miles an hour. So this ended up giving 35.93 inches of rain in Elizabethtown, North Carolina. So it made Florence the wettest North Carolina hurricane on record. Overall, the storm caused $24.23 billion in damage, mostly in the Carolinas, and 54 deaths. So why bring that up again? Surprisingly, things that move faster than Hurricane Sally. An 80-year-old human generally can move at 2.1 miles an hour. Average sea turtle moves at 3 to 4 miles an hour. Manatees swim at about 2 miles an hour. And I actually was off the coast of Sarasota once and turned around and saw 2 manatees swimming together like 2 feet away from me. It did make me jump at first. And hippopotamuses, they could go at 19 miles an hour. Well, Hurricane Sally's going at 2 miles an hour, which is not a good thing at all. As we see it taking aim right over there between basically Mobile, Alabama and Panama City. Oh, it's not going to be a good thing moving that slow. And we see this tweet breaking. St. Bernard Parish President Guy McGinnis just reported that the Ring Levees and the Woodlake Delacroix area have been topped over by storm surge from Hurricane Sally. We just lost the levees and water is now flowing over the Delacroix Highway. So most definitely, this is going to be one for the record books. It feels like it's Hurricane Florence Part 2, and this time on the other side of Florida. So yeah, we are definitely seeing some major storm surge. And some areas may get rain comparable to what we saw at Florence. And in this video, you see kids are swimming there. This is New Orleans lakefront right now. And over here we see a 3-mile bridge that connects Pensacola to Gulf Breeze has been shut down due to a barge that's broken loose and is wedged under the bridge. And I'll get rid of that sound. It's kind of hard to make it out so much, but you can see it there. So that barge broke loose, and this riverboat that we see, there's 2 riverboat casinos that have snapped loose from a dock in Bayou La Batre in Alabama. So Sally is creating havoc already, and this Good Samaritan rescued this little kitty that was trapped underneath a pier.
That's the cutest kitty.
Yeah, we've been thinking about getting a kitty cat too. Wow. Well, thankfully, the little kitty was rescued. So as we see, Landfall is going to be made as a Category 1 hurricane. By the time she gets there, well, maybe it'll even be a tropical storm, but it's not going to be the wind. It's the fact that this thing is doing what Florence did. It's moving north at 2 miles an hour. So that means areas are just going to get totally saturated, totally buried in a deluge. So if you are in low-lying grounds, let's hope that you've already packed up and gotten out. There's been so many times in the last 3.5 years or so that we have seen people on the roofs of their houses. And, that's a scary thought. So we see historic life-threatening flash flooding due to rainfall is likely through Wednesday along and just inland of the coast from the Florida Panhandle west of the Here, let me give you this word. I know how to say it before.
No, I'm not good at that.
Apalachicola.
Yay!
The Apalachicola River to the far southeastern Mississippi. Widespread moderate to major river flooding is forecast along and just inland of the central Gulf Coast. Significant flash flooding and urban flooding, as well as widespread minor to moderate river flooding, is likely across inland portions of Mississippi and Alabama, into Georgia, and into the western Carolinas this week. Life-threatening storm surge, we're already seeing that, is expected along portions of the coastline from Alabama to western Florida Panhandle, including Mobile Bay. Hurricane conditions are expected this evening and overnight within portions of the hurricane warning area along the Mississippi and Alabama coastlines and western Florida Panhandle. And what did Edgar Cayce say about the Mississippi River and the Gulf, the Gulf of Mexico and the Great Lakes all merging into one eventually? Well, we're just seeing a pattern here. We are most definitely seeing a pattern, and we've seen a lot of horrible patterns like this. We have birds dropping dead in New Mexico. Potentially in the hundreds of thousands, scientists are investigating, wondering if it has anything to do with the forest fires, or perhaps even the deep cold that came down, sweeping down. That Arctic blast could have caught them. Or is this something to do with something else, some other sort of virus or something? Or is it something to do with technology? Why are they dropping dead in New Mexico when the forest fires are, more in California and in Oregon and Washington? Lots of question marks, but we've seen too many mass die-offs, and they're talking hundreds of thousands of birds. This is sad. Now, we were recently through New Mexico and also Arizona and a bunch of states out that way. We didn't see anything like that at all. It was actually quiet and peaceful. I don't know. There's so many different possibilities, and they found them down by the. Well, they found them in many different areas. There's been different clusters that have been discovered over here in the state's northern Rio Arriba County. Interesting. Over by White Sands as well. Sad, really sad what we're seeing with so many die-offs. We have a severe Metastorm, storm in the Mediterranean, and its name is Casilda, and it forms near the coast of Libya. And so this was the first severe Metastorm of the 2020-2021 Mediterranean Metacane season. Not Medicare, Metacane.
Got it, Metacane. Got it.
Okay, there you go. So this one has 40-mile-an-hour winds right now, and it's moving north-northwest at about 6 miles an hour. It's going to strengthen and probably strike Greece. Which brings back visions of 300 when all the ships get swamped. But yeah, that was a fun movie, wasn't it? It had a little bit of fudging there and, a little bit of CGI going on. Deadly flooding hits Praia after 3 months worth of rain in just one day. This is Cabo Verde, and if you don't know where that is, it's off the coast over here of Western Africa, and there are thoughts that there might be some relics of Atlantean civilization over here, which wouldn't really surprise us either. There was a line of thinking, and there is a line of thinking, some people subscribe to it, that Atlantis is buried under the sands here.
I could believe that, because even around the desert, like when the sand blows and it just covers up everything. So times that by a few thousand years and boom.
Yeah, we could verify it to that, living in the desert. I mean, you put all this work in and you make everything organized, planting your plants and doing your mulch, and then a big windstorm comes and where did everything go? I don't even see the plants anymore. But anyway, the flooding that we have seen everywhere in here, it's destroying homes, flooding into buildings. And I know there was somebody I was talking to, a friend, and he was saying, I'm going to end up moving to Hawaii or moving to an island. And I was saying, And these times, I don't think I'd want to be on an island. And believe me, if it was normal times, oh, where would I be? You know, if I was going to stay in the U.S., I would have been in Florida. If I was wealthy, I would be somewhere in the Caribbean on an island because it's gorgeous and I love that weather. But I do not think it's a good place to be in these times. Not that there is, you know, any great safe places, but I mean, look at the water here. It's just incredible what we're seeing. And then we have this ominous dust storm. This is in Ankara. This is in Turkey. And that's very apocalyptic looking as well. So we had a deep 6.4 hitting Kamchatka, Russia. And where this is, this may end up, and this was pretty deep. This was 329 kilometers. So, you know, you might see something in the 6.5 to 7 range, maybe even heading over towards Alaska. And, you know, look for the energy to go that way and then possibly even down towards Cascadia. So it's something to keep an eye on. This one definitely could end up shaking things up in other areas later down. And we see a 6.1 quake hits north of Fiji. We've had a lot of 6s lately, a real run on 6s.
Yeah. Well, I remember a couple years ago there was a big run on 5s, so it seems like it's increasing.
Yeah, and now it sounds like we're going to play dice or something.
Yes.
You know, we're throwing the dice out. 6, give me 6s. Boxcars.
Please.
We'll see if we got any gamblers out there.
Yeah.
Have to admit, did go to a casino a couple of times, and I'm not a gambler, but you know, so you just get a 20 because you know I don't want to waste money, and you know I don't like throwing it away, but at the same time, sometimes, yeah, when in Rome, do as the Romans, right?
Yes.
So yeah, I was up at blackjack. I was up. I should have cashed out. And then they changed dealers, and it just disappeared.
That wiped it out so fast.
Gigantic swarms of winged insects invade Siberian city. And I really don't gamble. I think that I've only gambled like that twice in my entire life. And again, I'd stop at $20. I'm not a big spender. But this is in a Russian city. Massive horde of winged insects. And if you're brave enough, you can watch some video here. This poor guy gets chased away by them. They are some sort of fly, and they say they're harmless. But still, how would you like those all landing all over you, going up your nose, going in your ears?
That's horrible. It's, you know, I feel crunchy looking at it.
Yuck. Yeah, I mean, everywhere. And talk about crunchy, they're all over. Every footstep, you're probably killing 100 of them. Mm-hmm. It's pretty wild. So they say that the insects are harmless for humans, but again, they pose a danger to vegetation. Yeah. It's just one thing after another in this with the food situation, with the crop situation. And a lot of people are suspicious about that. So, as we see, the SC25 prediction panel announces the start of a new solar cycle. And Zarkova had announced that a couple months ago. So they're trying to catch up to her. And it's going to continue at below average strength, as we see here. Solar minimum occurred December 2019, marking the start of a new solar cycle. The Solar Cycle 25 prediction panel, an international group of experts co-sponsored by Never a Straight Answer and NOAA, announced on September 15th. Solar minimum between cycle 24 and 25, when the period of the sun is the least active, happened in December 2019, when the 13-month smooth sunspot number fell to 1.8. So we are now in solar cycle 25, peak sunspot activity expected in 2025. So, you know, that gets you, well, for those of you guys that follow this channel, and we think about Deagle and the numbers and their 2025 forecast, and, you know, when are we going to get the big one? I mean, so many people have talked about the big one. If you guys, you know, remember the kill shot that Ed Dames kept talking about, the solar flash, Diehold Foundation, Douglas Vogt has talked about as well. He was pinning 2045, I think, for his time, but he also thinks the sun's going to go nova, not supernova, but nova. And so his beliefs are that it'll toast the side of the Earth that is facing it. And then there are others out there as well with their thoughts on that. And, you know, we've had Corey Good and David Wilcock talking about when it's going to come, that solar sneeze, the solar flash. And I know at one point in time they were talking about this time frame, 2024, 2025. We shall see. We shall really see. This was the weakest cycle in 100 years. And scientists said that its progression was unusual. Well, there you go. They're finally catching up with some stuff. It's a little unusual. And how deep will it be? You know, and again, best guesses are we might be looking at another Maunder minimum and a little ice age period. So guys, thank you for your support on Ko-Fi and also all the Patreons out there. We can't do it without you. As always, stay safe. God bless and namaste.
Namaste.